usually when you look at a stock, there may be a reason or two why you want to own it. Maybe it's cheap, maybe it's growing really fast, right? When I look at Kroger, there's a lot of reasons why I want to own it, and only a few, maybe one or two that I don't, right? So when we look at it, we can see its performance 130%. That is above the S&P 500's performance for the last 5 years. Even more when you factor in the dividend, 2.25. That is almost a full percent above the S&P 500, right? The only issue is when you start looking at the 10-year. It's really not done that well over the last 10 years. However, it had a huge run up, and if you do 2012, you look back in it, and it's outperformed the S&P during that performance, right? So this is a stock that has performed. It has performed well. Certainly over the last 5. They had a 5-year stretch iffy, but outside of that, they've done well. This is what I really, this is when you're starting to get things you like, right? 15 PE. We can look here, 12.5 forward PE. And if we're taking last year as an example, they were likely going to hit this metric or beat it because they beat the last 4 quarters, even if it's pretty unsubstantial, right? So this is a cheap company. And you might be saying, well, what Kroger does, being retail and all that, probably their peers are also this cheap. That is not true. You can take a look at Walmart. You can take a look at Target. You can take a look at a few other, even something like TJ Maxx. I know it's different, but it's also retail, right? You can see their PEs are all significantly higher, closer to the S&P 500 average. I know Walmart's above it. Target, I think, is in the 20s. I don't look at Target that often, if I'm being honest. And I know TJX, I own it as well. It's in the 20s. So this is a stock that is significantly cheaper, right? And part of it was the growth wasn't really there over the last year. However, we're starting to see that pick up again, right? Every single quarter is projected above except for Q4, right? And like I said, if we put a little bit on there, we expect it to grow a little bit. So I love the PE. This is a super cheap company. This is value company, but also with that dividend, right? 2.25. Now, is this thing going to absolutely, is it going to be in a portfolio that's like 5-6% yield? Absolutely not, because you fit in a dividend portfolio with a 3-4%. You could, but you'd probably have to balance it out with some higher dividend payers. However, this is still a good dividend. And if you're holding it like I am, this is how I'm holding it. I'm holding it as a value stock, as a hedge. I like some of the retail stuff. It's never going to 3x, right? But I own a lot of tech, so I like it as diversification. I like it as a cheap hedge. And in the meantime, I'm getting this great dividend too. So even if it runs sideways for a while, obviously you can do better in CDs, but rates are probably going to continue to drop. As a long-term hold, Kroger, I like my money here. Schwab loves it too. They think it's going to be in the top 6% of stocks performing over the next year. That doesn't include dividends. So they think it's going to do very, very, very well. They think it's very undervalued. I think it's undervalued, but they agree with me, right? 3-star. They give it the non-economic mode. I don't know how you could do that. Even just name brand awareness, right? You got to give it an arrow. I hate the 0, 3, 10 scaling they kind of allude to here, but that's the reality we have. I disagree with this, although not dramatically, right? I don't think they have a super wide economic mode either. But when you do 150.2 billion in sales globally, I know margins are small in this, but still, that is somewhat of a moat. It just is. 4 stars, buy, long buy, good ESG score, right? Yeah, no, I love the stock. I own it. I'm probably going to buy a little bit more. It's not a huge portion of my portfolio, but I don't have any single stock as a huge portion of my portfolio, so that's not surprising. I'm not recommending you buy it. I never will do that. This is not investment advice. This is just analysis. But if you're asking me what stocks I like, cheap, valuable, history of growth, good dividend, this is about as good as you can find right now in the market, honestly. Let's take a little bit look at the history of the PE, right? It only gives us back to early 2023. But we can see, yeah, this is even forward PE, it's roughly about the same. Normal PEs, it's a bit cheaper, but that's just probably because we've seen a little bit of slowdown in growth. But like I said, so this is it's right around where it's normally valued. So, and that's not surprising because it hasn't had a crazy run up either. All stocks are up right now. Let's take a little bit of a look at what analysts have to say. Yeah, everyone's mostly saying hold. However, Schwab thinks it's definitely a buy. Right around price targets. I think Kroger is just being overlooked personally, right? It's not a super sexy stock. It's not going to do an NVIDIA run up. It's just not. However, if you're holding this stock for a 3, 4, 5 year time frame, hold it, forget it. I would imagine this stock is going to quietly do very well. I'm hoping it does, and if it doesn't, it's not a huge deal. I like it as diversification value because I'm very into tech. I'm in that field, but I don't, just because, and also that's just this quarter that's just November. If we go back to October, it was more people. Well, actually, exactly half are saying buy, and the other are saying hold. One dude's saying sell. I don't know if he knows insider info, but maybe ask him, but whatever. Anyways, that's all I have for today, guys. I appreciate you for watching. If you're a subscriber here and you watch my content, I'm going to start live streaming on Friday, at least this Friday and maybe subsequent Fridays, so I'd appreciate if you stopped by and said hi. I said leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you're new here, if you like similar content, I cover all sorts of stocks on this channel, so go ahead and subscribe. But I appreciate all of you for checking this video out, and I'll catch you next time.